expected kind of a better elevator. It's a bit, I don't know, dirty, or at least it's a bit old. I was hoping for a panoramic one. I guess that's the way that it is here. Oh, but the view is quite good. I was even considering getting my coat back, but you know what? I think it won't really be necessary. I can enjoy some of the cold. So you can basically see the city center that way, the Erasmus Bridge, and it's all there, as Rotterdam. But I'm going to switch to the back camera so I can show it better. This is the great city of Rotterdam, the second largest one in the Netherlands, and I've already mentioned it many times before. It was thoroughly bombed during the Second World War, so that's how it became Manhattan in the marshes, because they had to rebuild most of it. So, to begin with, that is Erasmus Bridge. Erasmus was a theologian and philosopher and scientist that arguably was born here in Rotterdam, and he spent a large amount of his life traveling throughout Europe. But because he was born here, a lot of things here are named after him. So beyond the Erasmus Bridge, we have the more gentrified area of the city, which used to have some problems with a lot of crime and something like that back in the 80s. And so they held many competitions to see which architectural firms would build the more interesting buildings. So that's how we got buildings like the Rotterdam there. And of course, naturally, we have like two branches of the Maas River. Actually, this is just two large rivers mixing up before ending up in the sea. And you can see naturally that it lends a lot to the port aspect of the city. You can see the large amount of dockyard place around here. This one is the Rotterdam, the SS Rotterdam ship. It was a ship for many decades, traveled around many countries in the world, and then essentially it got retired into a hotel. So it now works as a hotel, and it also has many tours. Now we are mostly looking south, kind of like there, and here we are going kind of looking away from the city. So here we are starting to look west and then north, and then north that way is where the sea is. So in that direction, if you keep following the river, the creeks here, call them however you want, you'll eventually end in the sea. And you can see the huge amount of entrances, of creeks, of canals, and of passageways here. And that's pretty much because this is essentially an entrance from the sea. The sea is coming into here, into the river. So this is where many of the ships used to come in, and there are many creeks and many entrances still throughout the entire way. You can see then many of them are still active, but they keep coming and going all the way north, albeit naturally they start becoming smaller since not all the ships can sail all the way up the river. And now here we keep turning and we are starting to get north. So here we are starting to turn north, and this is where we were down below a few minutes before. We walked by that creek there, and as I originally imagined, that is indeed Erasmus Medical Center. You can see it there, and I believe it's most likely the largest hospital in the city. As I said, only hoping so that one day important enough to get authorized to film inside hospitals. And here you see like the city center. that way, that direction, is the dwelling, the conference venue, and the town hall, and everything else. And the day we walk back there to my hotel, we started like here, and then I walked there, and through the Erasmus Bridge, and to that point. And so, if you see my previous video, you can see when you walk across the Erasmus Bridge. And here we've gone full around, so I'm going to turn the camera again. And so, this video is probably going to have music copyright because there's some music playing everywhere around here. But just one last comment from what we haven't talked about yet. You can imagine that the way it was windy down there the entire day, I think you can imagine how windy it's here now. So I think this is the way to get up to the upper level. Now, the reason I'm putting my coat on is not because I'm cold, but rather because I'm afraid to fly off if I keep holding it in my hands. And I wouldn't want that to happen. Here the music is even louder, but since I've already recorded a lot of it from the lower floor, I'm going to show my face here now. So, Erasmus Bridge down there, the white point one we walked across there some other day. There, the gentrified region of the city, where the architecture firms build the new different buildings. Keep walking across, we have the SS Rotterdam here, a ship that traveled the world as an ocean liner from many decades before being retired into a hotel. And we're looking south. If we start looking east, west, and down north, we will now see the way into the sea. Keep going that way. So, where do I go now? Well, so at this height, my coat is being quite useful. It's so windy here, yes, here it is necessary. What's it with the elevators? Why are all the elevators so like simple? This is supposed to be a tourist attraction. And so now we're going to the second level. So if you're interested in visiting, things to know, it costs like 1750 euros to come to the first level, the open area there. And now when we're going, I think it's around 185 meters, it is 20 euros, I think. Okay, so some news. The upper area is also open. And guess what? It's even windier than down there. So, I'm going around the same way, but what we expect, it's the same tower. What else do we show? So, here we're basically looking like northwest towards the sea. Maas River here, the Rhine and the Maas come together in this delta, and they branch into a lot of different rivers. And this is a large part of what makes the port of Rotterdam so great. It's close to the sea, and it has a lot of small creeks and entrances where ships can dock. Trying to keep going around. Now we are starting to reach north, and here the Erasmus Medical Center, the largest medical center in the city, connected to a very well-known faculty of medicine. No, I don't know the name of the university. I think it must be Erasmus University. This is literally an elevator inside the tower.
Rotterdam, met bonkend hart als de Kuip trilt op haar ijzeren vesten. Een stad die werkt, de mouwen opstroopt als de dag begint. Proud to be, not afraid of adventure, always changing, The core of Rotterdam is to overcome challenges. Zelfbewustzijn, zelfspot, jezelf opnieuw uitvinden. Met je kubuswoningen en centraal station, de Erasmusbrug, de haven, de kop van Zuid, poort van Europa, Maasstad, een plek waar mensen naar buiten kijken. Doorleefd, geleden en opgestaan. Littekens worden sieraden vol karakter. Architecture that mends and heals. A city that resurrected, confidently making a statement.
Okay, and so now
Look at the Erasmus Bridge, centered in the Maas, gracefully as a sword. Bridging the gap and uniting us in diversity. Vanuit elke hoek een andere vorm, sierlijk boven het water. Een metalen constructie als scheerlijnen houdt haar trots overeind. In het donker verandert de Erasmusbrug als een baken van licht dat speelt met contrast. Connecting the past with the future. Looking beyond, one can see the red steel of Williamsbridge. Closer by, Hotel New York, the starting point of the Holland-America line. Als je goed kijkt tussen Hotel New York en Katendrecht, zie je een bruggetje waarachter bepaarde barista's bakjes pleur schenken. De Skyline die elk uur van kleur verandert.
Is this for real? They have like hotel rooms up here? It really looks like it. It could be a publicity stunt, but it looks really convincing like a hotel room. There's even a Christmas tree and some kind of fireplace down there. Now I am going down, otherwise I'm going to freeze to death here. It was a beautiful view up there. So here I am leaving the Euromast. I decided to skip on the park walk because it's just completely pitch black. By the way, what time do you think it is? 9 p.m? 10 p.m? It's 6 p.m. But it's night, and even if I don't get mugged, I should still worry about like tripping and falling. So I decided to just walk back to the hotel, and this will very likely be the last video of the day, because after all, even if I could get to walk through the park in safety, there is very little I would actually see because it's so dark, and there is absolutely nothing you would see because the camera is not catching it. So regarding the Euromast, it was a fun, interesting experience. You get really beautiful views from the city from up there. The wind is already extremely strong down here, so you can imagine how it is up there. It's even worse, and yes, it's a good few degrees less. At least that's how we feel up there. And so now another 45-minute walk to my hotel, and I'm not going to record a lot more because the camera won't get it. It starts getting hard to see, and I already have one night video, and I believe those are most likely not the most fun to watch because you can't see all that much about us. They could do with a bit more organization. I mean, for example, the entrance, the exit, which floor you are meant to go to. It's a bit confusing. I'm not going to say you can get lost because it's a tower after all, so it's not that large. But I mean, sometimes you're like, okay, so do I go right or left here? When I got up there, there is something called the Euroscoop, which is like a small platform it's here that you get into, and then it rises all the way up there. And the entrance to this platform is somewhat inconspicuous, so I almost missed something I had already paid for, because I just saw some people going into a door and I decided to go into that door too, and turns out it was like the final part of the trip, and I had paid for it and I almost missed it. So keep that in mind, be cautious and stay pretty aware when you visit it. Well, have a nice evening. I'm going to end the recording here and walk back to the hotel. Bike lanes and bikes, really seriously. Take a look at this. This is literally an escalator. People come with their bikes down and up through, and they have a tunnel under the Maas River where they bike across it.